Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, Gavin.
And I, Justin.
And I think we can keep our gratefuls in.
Yeah.
We kind of just transitioned from our gratefuls that we do every week and segued right into stuff that we're talking about. We are rethinking and reorganizing ourselves and how we want to go about this. I guess you could call it weekly. It's not weekly every week, but it's weekly most weeks.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going through that. I talk extensively on Sobs as well as some new developments on Sob dying again for the fourth time.
Yes.
Fourth time's a charm. I'm sorry, but
you think so?
apparently the Swedes think so.
Yeah.
We also talk about track days for quite a bit.
We do.
And
you need to get out there, son.
We need to both get back out there together because that would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
So, anyways, that and more. Let's get right into it.
Expedition Speed Podcast.
Well, want to do gratefuls, and that'll help us get into it like it does?
Let's do gratefuls, shall we? I found out that we are no longer doing Monday morning meetings at work.
What brought that up?
I don't know. We're just doing just constant level 10 meetings, just throughout the day and the week.
Interesting.
And we're not having big group meetings, but that's not a thing that I'm grateful for. I actually kind of liked those, but what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the warm weather right now.
Yes.
My car was indicating 80 on the way out here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. That's nice. I'm grateful for my girlfriend. I'm grateful for being able to have a coffee with her this morning on the patio.
Hell
we got to discuss things that we want to do to the apartment because we're looking at her moving in July 1-ish.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's happening. I was up with my parents and Maddie yesterday up in Park City, and we got to have a conversation about rent, which actually went better than I thought it was going to.
Okay.
I forgot that I was still on my parents' phone plan, and so for now, and they wanted to raise rent.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is rent for me is staying the same, and I'm just getting my own phone plan. So I'll be upgrading, I think.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this Galaxy S20 Plus for 3 years.
Which, in modern terms, is pretty good for a phone.
That's a long time, and I am just looking for something that does more. And, my storage is, starting to, come up.
Yeah.
Even though I've deleted 5,000 photos of flowers.
Holy shit. I'm both surprised and not at the same time.
Yeah, because part of the deal with the flower business is, taking a picture of the arrangement at the business in our little photo corner and then sending that photo to either the sender of the arrangement, or if the arrangement didn't get to the recipient, we'd also send a photo to the recipient saying, hey, come pick up your shit.
Yeah.
So, and I just didn't delete photos for 4 years. Well, 3 years now with that camera or that phone. But yeah, I'm excited to hop into a new phone. If this part makes the podcast, does or it doesn't have to. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm looking to stay Android. Yep. Mostly because of and actually, when I say mostly, this is actually all of the reason. I could go iPhone, but the infotainment system in my car, I did an Android, or I did a Sync 3 upgrade or update over completely free. Just plug a USB into the computer, download the software, plug it in the car, and wait a half hour, and I was able to run Android Auto and stuff. But I've tried a couple of times with different iPhones, and they've never pulled up Apple CarPlay.
Interesting.
Yeah, Carson's was one.
And I don't think we've ever tried with mine.
No, but we could. We could, in theory.
Yeah.
I didn't have to swap out any hardware. I didn't change USB ports. I didn't change the display. None of that. It just like that. And I quite like having free smartphone integration into my car. So I think I'm just going to get what's the newest Galaxy? The 23?
I think so, yeah.
So
understandable. I mean, I was Android for so long before I made the jump, and honestly, the only reason I'm staying is because of the overall stability. Just the sheer no problems, in media, for instance, connects to GoPros or anything instantly.
Yep.
It never crashes. It's just a more stable device overall because Apple makes both the software and the hardware. It just is going to be bound to happen.
Yeah.
But No, I understand and respect your decision for not wanting to jump the pond, because it's ironic. You started Apple and went Android. I started Android and went Apple.
I mean, kind of. I've never had an iPhone, though.
True.
I've never had an iPhone. I just started my life so our first computer was still a pre-iMac Apple.
Ah, gotcha.
And then I remember the iMac, like the first iMac in 1998 that had Nanosaur on it, and it was like translucent turquoise.
Okay.
So my parents have been Apple the entire way, and I'm the black sheep of the family with a PC and an Android phone.
See, and mine was PCs and Android the entire way, and then my dad, once BlackBerries went away, Apple is the only phone manufacturer that makes true like hardware-based encryption for stuff like that. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and so since his job is top secret, with not the job itself, but like he has to have clearance to do it at L3, he has to have a phone with encryption. So iPhone it was.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, he's still rocking like an iPhone 8.
Jeez.
Because they just don't care to upgrade. In fact, they probably won't upgrade because fingerprint reader with Touch ID. They still want him to have fingerprints, not Face ID.
Oh.
So.
Wait, they as in L3?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. So they probably won't ever upgrade those phones. I think they'll probably just keep like constantly recycling them, new batteries, shit like that.
Oh my god. Well, it's more eco-friendly.
More eco-friendly, and more people should do it. Because I mean, I'm grateful. Actually, I'll start with the grateful. I'm grateful for Apple supporting their devices as long as they do, because none of the Android phone manufacturers come even close. In fact, it's really only
they're like 18 months or so, aren't they?
They're up to Samsung with the new ones is now saying 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it used to be like 18 months though.
Yeah.
And then you were not guaranteed anything, which is pretty shitty.
Yeah, kind of.
Pretty fucking shitty. So thank you, Daddy Apple, for that.
Thanks, Steve Jobs.
Thank you. I'm also grateful that out of the first month that me and Carson have been together in business,
You've been together.
Oh,
It's something we should tell Bryce.
His 1 month anniversary coming up tomorrow. That's a sound bite. Anyways,
that's going in.
Everything has gone well. Everything all the hurdles that I worried about that we had planned for have more or less like happened, and cost-wise we're doing good, and it's just going to keep getting better and better from here on out. And even like my consistency not doing the big jobs at PACCAR anymore, I've still had like jobs coming in. It's just all worked out great, and I haven't had troubles or worries at this point. So it's
good.
Very grateful for that. Very grateful to yet again have a house in this economy.
Yep.
And
you did well. You did in 2019. You made the right choice.
Very much so. Very much so. And I'm very grateful for the cars that I have. I'm very grateful that now that my truck's at 102,000 miles, it's still fantastically reliable. No problems.
Well, it's a Toyota.
It's a Toyota.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll outlive the cockroaches, I'm sure.
It probably will.
Yeah.
No surprise there. No, I'm just grateful for a lot of shit, despite how much shit is shit.
Well, speaking of things that are shit, we're looking at a Utah Department of Transportation traffic camera that is located at the top of Big Mountain Pass in East Canyon, and fuck me, that snow is still about 5 feet tall.
Yeah, the signs that indicate the county lines, which are usually at about 6 foot, are barely peeking out.
The top of the sign might be just over 6 foot, and the snow is just below where like the actual signage is.
It's wild. Like, I mean, we've talked at length about, especially a couple podcasts ago, how much ridiculous weather we've gotten. But since we've had a few more storms since then, and the mountains have still gotten a little bit more, I think it was Snowbird past 900 inches of snow.
I think it was Alta.
Or yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah, I think it was Alta past 900 inches, which is like when they passed 800, we were like, okay, it's time to stop. And then Mother Nature was like, hold my fucking beer,
and kept going. Yeah, 900 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Insanely wild. Like, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that.
And because of that, not because of that in particular, but just the amount of snow and water that we now have, it's interesting because East Canyon isn't that full, and even the little lake, Little Dell Reservoir, which is on the emigration side of it.
Yeah.
Like where that parking lot is and like the boat ramp and that stuff.
Yep.
That still looks really low. I was just there yesterday with our friend Patrick with the B8.5 RS5 that made us famous. And that water is still low. But we have flooding still in Salt Lake. Sugar House Park is basically completely under fucking water.
Actually, also, Patrick, when I was going to re-ceramic coat the wheels on there, I passed Sugar House Park, and yep, it is buried.
Yeah.
So you can't even drive in or out at the moment.
Nope.
And
so that's fun.
And this is putting a problem on our end because a lot of the canyons we would hope to open in the next 2 to 3 weeks probably will not.
I mean, how amazing would it look, though, if they ran a snowplow, if they ran a couple of big blades through East Canyon? How amazing would that look with like 5 to 6 foot, snow walls on either side of the road?
Yeah.
The issue would be, where do you put cars that need to stop?
Well, this is where I wish in some ways we were a bit more European, because a lot of European countries, not as many roads close.
Yeah.
Because they don't have as much room, so there's quite often only one way to get to one particular town, so they have to plow through all of this. And that's where you see those crazy click-tastic photos of like the 6-foot mounds of snow where you can see the layers.
I shared one with the Ferrari Monza SP2 doing a little, drifto around a corner, and then a 911R going through, I forget where exactly it was. I think a famous photographer, G.F. Williams, he took photos of the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 for Top Gear.
Yeah.
On the airstrip. Let's see. It wasn't that long ago, so I won't have to dig that much. Yeah, G.F. Williams. He didn't. Paso Giau. So if you want to look up Passo Giau.
Passo Giau. It is in Italy.
It sounds Italian, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously in northern Italy, like right up next to the Alps.
The Dolomites.
Mm-hmm. And it's on the northeast side, so like closer towards Austria. Yeah, holy shit, that looks... Let me bring that up for you.
Yeah, pull that up, Jamie.
That looks like a nice windy road. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
That looks pretty wild.
Here, Street View that shit. I want to see.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let me grab my little guy. Oh, good, it is Street View compatible. I was like,
oh, yeah.
Sometimes they're not.
Wow.
Oh, my God. So,
this is a photosphere, actually, that you've landed on.
But
which is on this mountain ridge that overlooks the entire Paso Giau. Pan up a little bit just to see the mountains. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Holy shit. Yeah, this is...
Oh, this is a drone, clearly.
Yeah, drone clearly, but like right here, we've got a lodge at the top, and we're looking down on this road that just looks like a bunch of spaghetti. Ironic because it's Italian, but still like, wow. And it goes on both sides too, like down here.
Yep.
See, and that's where I wish that we had a little bit more of a need to keep some of those roads open, because I don't want development to happen up East Canyon because it's beautiful and preserved. But I do wish that there was at least something up there that made them keep the road open.
Well, I mean, there's a lake on the other side where people go boating during Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That's like the one like hope that I have for them running a plow through there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, guys, we have 1 week until Memorial Day. We got to clear this shit out and like make sure people can pull over and stuff, and maybe run some snow plows or something to like start to clear up pull out areas, like, the big parking lot at the top of Big Mountain.
Yeah.
Maybe some pull offs on the side of the road, further down.
I wish I went to go look at Nebo Loop. It doesn't look like
they don't have any cameras up there.
That's a bummer.
East Canyon is kind of the exception, really, because they don't even have them. There was one on Wolf Creek. Go up. There's one. Stop. You see where it says 35 next to Woodland?
Right there.
That's at the kind of by the gate.
And
it looks clearish out there, but if you move to the right a little bit, there was one that was more towards the top of 35.
Yeah. It doesn't look like that.
That's 150 up there. Click up that camera.
Okay, so
that's completely under snow still.
Yep, and that's
not even that far up past Samac.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's Kama spelled backwards.
Utah naming schemes.
Thanks, guys.
Gotta
appreciate it.
So, yeah, right now we're in a bit of a predicament because, as we've talked about, we're going to be launching weekly content. However,
We just had a meeting about this. We've had multiple meetings actually about our weekly content because we wanted to start the first week of April with some padding, and then by the time middle of May comes around when East Canyon opens, we would have another appetite for more content and then be able to crank shit out. But that's not been the reality. We're at the end of April right now with 5 feet of snow still at the top of Big Mountain Pass.
Yep.
And that's just Big Mountain Pass. That's not even thinking about the snow that is on the other side.
Yep.
That takes longer to melt because of the angle of the sun and being blocked off and being colder generally. So we're now at a point where we're thinking about should I disclose this?
I think we can since we've scheduled the first ones.
Yeah, for the 20 people that are listening to this podcast, we are going to be doing things in seasonal blocks. Not like, a block for spring and a block for summer, but, weekly content for the month of May.
Mm-hmm.
And that will buy us some room to create content if we can in May. We definitely need to and should.
Yes.
But that will also hopefully give us time in June to release shit in August or July.
Yeah, so we ran into the predicament because we wanted to do more consistent content because one of the difficulties with us both being gainfully employed in one way or another and this being a side project and us gearing towards quality and finally, generally, up until this point, having geared towards larger videos, that's a lot of commitment in a very small window of time and then a very drawn out commitment editing it and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas
which can be done after hours.
Mm-hmm. Which this, with weekly content, is more geared towards trying to give some little bite-sized things, of course. Mm-hmm. Like basically taking the reviews out of those larger format videos and just having that.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what would happen if we did just take the B7 RS4 and the R8 and the 992 Carrera, and we just dropped those as videos. I just had that thought. I was like, what if we just did that?
I think we could. I think if we did that and we spread them out, where it wasn't back to back to back to back, where it looks like we're rehashing.
Gavin looks a lot younger here.
I know. It's like we time traveled.
Yeah.
But I think we could do that, and that might work if we space them out.
Maybe that's what we do for June.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, June is in the year or 2.5 year celebration kind of thing.
Well, we have that as filler for when we're not putting out new stuff and from a time vault kind of thing. I don't know. That literally just happened in my head just now. So we probably we also might not do that.
No promises. But we've had multiple problems getting to this point. One is the aforementioned snow, closing canyons and keeping them probably going to be closed longer than normal.
Monte Cristo looks super closed still. Wolf Creek looks super closed. Mirror Lake Highway looks super closed. Not that we've really done any filming out there, except I would like to. It's a beautiful area.
It is.
East Canyon, as mentioned, closed. Cascade Springs, where we shot the B7 RS4 and the NA2 fixed headlight NSX was out there. Wolf Creek was the NC1 hybrid NSX, and what else have we shot at Wolf Creek?
R8.
We shot R8 there.
I think we did 1 or 2 things from RS5 there because most of it was Mirror Lake.
We did, yeah, we did. We did the in car for RS5 on a group shoot day at South Mountain Pass, so we didn't do the actual review part on location. But we did all of the flyby for Mirror Lake. Or for RS5 was the bottom of Mirror Lake. We tried to do rollers there, and it was far too bouncy for the setup that we had.
Yep.
We did Beauty in Wolf Creek for that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and so that's problem 1. Problem 2, we've had a few various car malfunctions that have, for lack of a better term, cock-blocked us from being able to do a car.
Well, one car had a wheel bearing that was going out just before the guy was selling the car.
Yep.
So that happened. We had what other car actual vehicular malfunctions
last weekend
with
the Eleanor.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't start.
Oh yeah, Eleanor wouldn't start. And then we've had some gear malfunctions. What was the acronym that you just used?
Oh, PEBCAC.
PEBCAC.
So
we had some PEBCAC with some GoPros on other projects too.
Yeah, PEBCAC, for those that don't know, is a computer term. Problem exists between chair and keyboard, a.k.a. the human.
Yep. Or it's a code ID10T.
Yep. Exactly. So we've had a couple of those, which have pushed us back probably a good month compared to where we would have liked to been.
Yeah.
And
if we didn't have all those delays and setbacks. Oh, and also the code ID10T that happened with the Porsches in California.
Yep.
You're welcome.
But those have all set us back, and the weather will continue to set us back, which is why we're trying to do these kind of seasonal blocks where you'll get weekly content for a time, like maybe 3 to 5 weeks, depending on what we have.
Yeah.
Then you'll probably get a 3 to 5 week break, then 3 to 5 weeks more content, and kind of block it up like that, because that makes it so it's even possible for us to continue to do this and make good things. And also, I think there's a side benefit. I had this thought the other day that if we really tried to push weekly content, which we could do, there's no doubt that we could accomplish it if we really pushed stupid hard. The problem, I think, would be we'd run out of interesting things to drive pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, there are some BMWs that I have in mind for sure, and some Corvettes that I have in mind, because, like, we have some experience with Corvette, but, like, we're not super extensive. I mean, there are Porsches around. There's actually a lot of Porsches in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Of multi-generations and multi-purpose Porsches. I mean, what other kind of cars are there? There's, a lot of JDM stuff, so things like, RX-7s and Supras.
Miatas.
Miatas are easy.
Yep.
Those are easy to get a hold of, generally. Oh, yeah, and Mr. Bradley.
Yep.
With all the GTRs.
Yep.
So there are things, and just to kind of give you a cliff notes of, like, things that we're looking at doing, but, like, we could run out. I mean, I have a melting pot list. It's kind of like a list that Nicolas Cage and Gone in 60 Seconds had.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, here's all the cars we're going to steal.
Yeah, exactly. Except for here's all the cars we're going to drive.
We're going to drive and talk about. And it's a list for sure. And there are people that, we can network with. Maybe some people out at the track.
Mm-hmm.
People with shops out at the track that we can do promo for.
Yeah. Which we've talked about that, and that would be cool. Because if we got to drive some things on the track that... saying they're not road legal is one thing, but, like, things that you would not generally drive on the road as a canyon car.
Yeah.
Would be
cool. Cars that you can, but, like, they are really more built for the track.
I actually wonder, which maybe this is something we could pursue, where we have a good friend that has a black on green GT3 RS, but he also has a track...
Black on green? Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, but he also has a track GT3.
When did that happen?
About 6 months ago.
Is this after his 992 went kaput?
Around the same time.
What gen?
991.2.
A 1.2 non-RS GT3.
I believe it is an RS.
So he has 2 RSs?
So he doesn't own the other one outright. He co-owns that with somebody as a track toy.
Oh.
And so he did that because his actual GT3 RS was starting to get pretty beat up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fortunately, it was fully PPF'd, so, like, nothing's truly damaged.
Oh, aesthetically beat up.
Aesthetically beat up,
okay, yeah. Mechanically, like, that should take a lot more than what he's doing.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it's fine, but aesthetically, it was starting to get a little beat up, and that car in particular was a PTS completely pure black with no flake, with a ton of green accents everywhere, custom paint.
It's really well spec'd. Yeah.
Really well spec'd, and on some beautiful, it has a beautiful exhaust as well as it has... like the lightest weight road legal HREs that you can get on it.
Do I know the other owner?
I didn't recognize the name, so I doubt it.
Oh.
But it would be interesting to talk to him and be like, hey, could we, like, have some track time in that?
I think you and I both need more warm-up. Because I've been on track a number of times. I've had my Fiesta on track. Actually, funny enough, passing... someone in a GT3 RS.
That's hilarious.
They were on Blizzax, to be fair.
Okay.
They were on Blizzax, but it was also like 43 degrees outside. So it was like, should those be on or not? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I lapped them a couple of times.
That's hilarious.
Which was pretty funny. Love you, Wes. I've had my car on track, and our good buddy Scott Chamberlain, I've driven his E36 325 IS out there in a couple of different iterations. The most recent time was in 2017. Wow, is that long ago? And from the time I had driven it before that time to when I did drive it the last time, he had gotten a shorter rear diff, slicks, and I had never driven a car with slicks before. And also a cam and tune, I want to say. And I got to loop it a couple of times.
Nice.
Is this news to you?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a video. So he had a GoPro on the roll cage behind us, looking forward.
Oh wait, nope. I remember this now.
This is a
long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah. But there was one corner. It's on West Track, and I fucking hate West Track. It's configured in such a dumb way.
Yeah.
I mean, says the moron that's only been on track like a few times in his life. Like,
Yeah.
it is a more technical track. I like East Track more because it's more flowy. Basically, East Track is a stick it in third gear and just work on your right foot and like look at, maybe go from third to second for a couple of or for like a corner, actually, really.
Yeah.
And then but it's also more interesting because there's more of an altitude change. You get to go over the attitude S curves. There's another corner after that, maybe depending on the car where you go into second.
Yeah.
But it's mostly a third gear track.
Okay.
It's not as like complicated, and there aren't any like triple apex left-handers. Fuck that. Fuck triple Ds. I hate them.
Come on.
That's dumb.
Where's your sense of adventure?
It's dumb.
No, I agree. We do need some more warm up, as you called it, or some experience to get on track.
Yeah, I think if you took your Saab on track,
yeah,
I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
I think it would be too. I'd be comfortable with that if I just swapped the tires. Everything else I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah.
To just do a track day shouldn't be a problem at all.
You would cook your fluid though.
It has .4 in it.
How are your lines?
Stainless steel. They're nice.
Oh, they are.
Yes.
When were they installed?
I'd actually.
And also,
don't
how
know.
old is your fluid?
No, like it could use a fluid exchange. The
Yeah.
lines are probably about 10 years.
Okay, yeah, they're
They should-
probably fine.
They're probably fine.
But your fluid would definitely need to get swapped out beforehand.
Yeah.
and would need to get swapped out again after.
But fortunately, I have a bleeder to do that, so that's easy.
That's good. Can we do mine?
Yeah, we could do yours.
Oh, cool.
And hopefully, we're actually going to get the quick checks, Carson's quick checks fixed this week or next week.
What is that? Quick jacks?
Quick jacks.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
to just quickly get the car up, pull the wheels off,
Yeah.
and be able to do that in like less than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would feel comfortable with everything else because everything else is pretty tight. That car has an astonishing capability to keep itself super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm not even worried about it on track whatsoever because I have never had the coolant go above 180.
Okay.
Like it is
The track is the place to test that out.
exactly. It is quite chilly for a 80s cooling system.
Yeah. With a turbo too.
So, and I'm not even worried about that. Even though that's the original turbo, I've inspected it so many times. It's still pretty solid.
Yeah.
So, no, it would be fun to do and get a feeling for it as long as I had different tires. Because right now, the only set of tires I have for that car is snow tires.
Yeah, and I've been lazy and cheap and haven't. There's this guy Corey at this 4-wheel shop that apparently does really good alignments. And I can get a good deal through my work.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I need tires swapped out and an alignment pretty bad, and I might actually need to get them balanced too because I still feel a little bit of shake.
Gotcha.
It's not like there's ice on the wheel bad, but there's I feel something still.
No, that's understandable. No, that would be really cool and a really easy way to do a video too. If we could basically get 2 videos in one, get you driving your car and me driving my car on track.
Yeah.
That actually might have to happen.
I mean, I've talked about this before, Justin.
You have. I know you have.
You just don't listen.
No, I do listen. But a lot of these things filter in and out as necessity negates.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, if we took a day, like a whole day, where you go out and do yours, and I go out and do mine, and then we each do one other car, like a Miata of some kind.
Yeah.
Like get you and Sasha's Miata, and then get me in someone else's Miata or someone else's track car.
That actually
That's the way to do it. Or maybe I take Randall's car on track. Randall's Veloster N.
That would be wild.
That would slap.
That would slap.
That would be so much
crazy.
fun.
Yeah, because you have enough straights that you could really use the power and still get some good turns.
Well, it depends on the track configuration, but if I did his car on East Track coming up over attitudes, I'm not saying that I would catch air.
You might.
But we're getting close.
Maybe a tire or two.
That car's fucking quick. And it just holds on to so much speed.
Well, and actually, while we're talking about this, like I am trying to remember, what did they rename Wide Open Wednesdays to?
Well, go up to UMC's website.
That's what I got pulled up right here.
Go to Get on Track. I mean, you could do a number of different things. I would look at Amateur Track Days probably. it was wide open weekends is what it was at one point. But look at like beginner sessions, I would say.
Okay, $75 a person. Never been on
Same
track
for
before.
beginner or advanced. I would probably qualify for advanced only because when I've done the Utah Cars and Coffee when they went out there with Godfrey Proof, which was that company was actually like a marketing and like media company, and they would host Cars and Coffees out there, and at the Cars and Coffees, they would have the go-karts open. There was drifting that was happening at the same time. And there were two different categories, I guess, of racing that was happening on the track. So they'd split the track into the east half and the west half.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done anything out there in years, and I just somehow pre-qualified for advanced.
Gotcha.
And advanced, I believe, is east.
Yeah, and it doesn't say
It
right
was at
here.
least when I went out. But go to register now and see what happens. Yeah, so it's under Motorsport Reg, and they have their calendar out. So the next one is May 10th.
Which is a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I would probably be able to get out there because Justin, my boss, he does track day stuff too.
Yeah.
And he sometimes he took off early on Friday to go do something this weekend, I think, with the Miata.
So it looks like they've moved them back to Wednesdays for this year.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
I mean, maybe for this thing, and I don't know. If you go up to NASA, so what you and I would actually do, NASA is a bit more expensive. NASA is like $200.
Yeah.
But it's for a full weekend. So get on track, NASA. Yeah, so you do HPDE.
And it doesn't show a cost. Here's the schedule.
Learn how to get involved.
Mm-hmm. I was just registering for the events.
Mm-hmm. So
Let's just look at the Outer Loop Day.
Outer Loop is fun. I haven't done Outer Loop before, but I've seen. I've for those that may or may not know, I've also done a lot of photography out there before doing any driving. I probably did 3 or 4 years of just pure track photography first.
Oh, there we go. 319.
Oh wow,
349, 349. Yeah, so they've definitely gone up.
they have gone up. They used to be like 200.
Yeah, because that's right here. That's a specific event, which is probably why it's a little bit cheaper. But these
no timing on Fridays.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, interesting. I mean, it looks like it has gotten more expensive. Not that I'm that surprised.
Yeah, for 3 days is $800.
Yeah, single day 319 is the cheapest
Yeah.
when it's like the general class that you can just race in.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of sucks. But I mean, at least I haven't gone back to calling them wide open Wednesdays, but the Wednesday amateur race days are still 75. That's still good. Like,
That's a really easy access to entry.
yeah, especially for like somebody like me, where I know I could get a rough hang of the track fairly quickly.
And you're not trying to get your license.
No.
Like NASA is really like if you want to climb the ranks of NASA, that's how you get your racing license.
Yeah, that's the first entry into like legitimate basic competition.
I wonder where that photo was taken because that's not fucking here.
No, that's not UMC at all.
No.
That is just their banner photo on their website for NASA track days. Is clearly not at UMC.
No.
That's kind of funny, actually.
That's interesting.
But that would be something.
What's Apex track days?
Let's see.
I feel like. Oh, that's for biking.
That makes sense. Okay. Oh, see, and on these they actually label the tracks, whereas they didn't label them on the amateur days.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if maybe they've just locked the amateur days to one track.
Maybe. Go back to amateurs.
Boop. Apparently it didn't like that. There we go.
I also think it's hilarious that roll racing is such a thing.
I know. It's
So
interesting.
dumb.
Can I get a refund is the first frequently asked question. That's hilarious. Was loud. So there's
Clearly that's, a Utah question.
very much so. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking on these. So on the actual
That's
dates,
karting.
it doesn't
So-
show.
Open track. That's what it says there. 2 different run groups, beginner and advanced. Let's see. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't say if it's east or west or not.
Yeah, and that's what makes
Click on the 2 different run groups is underlined. Oh, that's not linked.
no.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they. My guess is they may just all segment them to the same track.
Dave Kazarian, if you are listening,
please let us know.
Let me know.
But that would be really cool.
He just bought a Mark 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he had a Mark 7 pre-facelift that I think had some mods on it.
Okay.
But he just upgraded to a new 8.
Nice.
Good for him.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah.
It's basically the same as the 7, just different.
It is.
Same, different, same.
Yep.
So that might be definitely something we need to do, because that's just, like you said, that's something we don't have a ton of experience in.
That says configuration outer loop for that one.
That's NASA.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, so that's a NASA one. But none of these say the configuration.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we definitely need to jump into, because it is really popular. I mean...
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's the first, like, taste of competition in the NASAs where you'd really enter in to actually be competitive as the first line.
So, yes and no. The amateur track days, the level of competition is purely based on who's driving. If you are a competitive person, if you see someone that's ahead of you and you want to pass them, sure, but there's nothing put on you.
Yeah.
From anyone else. They don't run a clock for amateur track days. You're just feeling out the performance of your car.
Yeah, if you wanted to clock, you'd have to run your own clock.
Right. Which I guess you can, but like...
Wouldn't be too hard.
At that level, why?
Yeah. I mean, the only reason you would at that level is to measure your improvement.
Right. Like if you had a chronograph on your wrist, and if you passed the start line of, okay, you hit it, and then you run your lap, and then you, again, at the end of your lap, then sure, you can do that. But
you could do that to get some metric as how you're doing, but you're not going to have any idea what anybody else is doing.
Right. Or have someone in the side seat running a stopwatch, but like, what's the point?
Yeah. So maybe we might have to do that.
That'd be fun.
I think that'd be really fun.
If we could take off a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Which I think would be totally doable.
Yeah.
We could definitely make that work. And then it would be easier because, like we've mentioned earlier, our weekends are kind of a pain in the ass sometimes.
They kind of are, because we have significant others, and we have families, and we need to also disconnect sometimes.
And I also quite often work Saturdays. And so, like,
true.
It's gotten easier because now I have somebody else to shift a Saturday too. But that's when most people want my shit done, is Saturdays.
Yeah, that's when everyone else has the day off and they want to get their shit cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for, like, if a Cars and Coffee's on a Sunday, get it cleaned Saturday. Boom.
Boom. Done.
Yeah. Well, and I do feel like there would be... it would be stressful doing it. Maybe not doing 4 cars. If we did just, our 2 cars, we could... I feel like there would be a self-healing aspect to that of, like, oh, I don't get to go to work today. I actually get to, like, go do some fun shit out at the track, And
I would love to see, like, the limits of my sub. In fact, actually, just before we started recording this, we watched a few different Nürburgring videos while we were talking about our, like, what we were going to do with our weekly content. And one of them that I pulled up was an old video I found of a Saab 900, like, going on the Nürburgring that was clearly prepped for the track, not a daily or in any way. But looking at, like, what that was able to do, and I don't know the specs of what was done to that, I'm like, it'd be cool to see what the limit is. How far could you actually go with a chassis like that in no way, shape, or form is meant to do that?
Sure.
Just because it would be interesting to see the looks on the track of seeing, like, my car.
Oh, you would get attention for sure. You would be the only Saab, probably the only Saab, period.
Yep.
Definitely the only Saab pre-GM out there.
Yeah, because there are some post-GM Saabs. For instance, if you get, like, a Vigan, which is a 1999 to 2003 Saab 9.3, you can make those competitive, but they weren't competitive from factory. There's a lot of things.
It's the whole thing about turning your car into something that it isn't.
Well, and that car was just flawed because they didn't have the money to make the chassis as rigid as it needed to be for the amount of power that was in it. The engine was great, and it could produce a pretty good amount of power, being 270 some odd horsepower for a 4-cylinder of the day.
Yeah.
That's more than 100 horsepower per liter.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. However, the chassis was very dynamically flawed, but there are fairly easy bolt-on fixes that repair those problems with some subframe bracing and a few other things that bring it back up to where it should have been to begin with.
Maybe, yeah.
Because, like, you've driven one, and
yeah, but that thing was a fucking sloppy noodle.
Yes, and that's how they are.
Yeah.
They just need some reinforcement. And then after that, the only one that is actually competitive from factory was what was the Saab 9.3 Turbo X, So that is a roughly Haldex-based all-wheel drive turbo V6 in sedan form that actually can do some pretty good damage. And there are some of those I've seen.
There's also the 92X, which is a Subaru.
Yep, exactly, which is literally a WRX in a suit.
In a Saab suit.
Mm-hmm. So most of the older cars, they're like mine was as quote-unquote dynamic as it got.
Yeah.
So it would be really interesting to see that and to see the reactions. I think that would be the funny part is just watching like...
That's not why you should do it, but it would be interesting to see.
It would be a funny side benefit of just seeing like, whoa, you bringing that out here? Hell yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to see what...
It's really the one thing you haven't done with that car.
It is, because I've driven it through snow in daily times plenty of times. I've towed shit with it. It's big enough that I've hauled my engine lift in it, drove it across country.
You just driven across country, to begin with. When you bought the thing, you bought it in Boston and, took a B roads mostly the way home.
Yeah, I've done most everything else with it. So yeah, track really should be in its future, especially because it does need to get put away for some body healing here in the next year or two, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
This could be a good, approaching final send-off of okay, I've done a track in it in its original configuration. Then it's time to go, okay, it's time for retirement for a bit.
Yeah, and in order for me to do this, I need to, first of all, get my Extreme Contact Sports on, because I'm still on my BlizzX. I do feel like if I did another track day, my pads would be completely fucked.
Yeah.
And I've already swapped pads since my last track day, so I just need a new set of pads. And rotors, probably. I don't have a whole lot of faith in my rotors for track day. For daily driving, they're more than adequate. And for some light canyon driving, they're fine. For 3/4 driving, they're fine. But for anything really beyond that, they need to get swapped out. So that's something that I need to do too. And probably flush out my fluid because I can't remember if I put new fluid in the last time I did my pads, but whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, it's good you're actually doing it because most people don't at all.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't even think about it.
Yeah. I'm really picky, especially having driven the water-cooled Porsches that I've driven.
Yeah.
How fucking amazing a set of GT3 brakes are.
Mm-hmm.
It's ruined me completely for anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, the NSXs, too, that we drove. Those were great, too.
Pretty much all of them, which is funny because the NSX brakes, and I even mentioned this when we were, I think, both times on shoot, they really are technically pretty basic. If you look at the calipers, they're just a standard 2-piston floating caliper.
Sure.
Nothing fancy, but they just did it in such a right way that it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's super predictable, lovely pedal feel, just the right amount.
Yeah. Straight up.
Yep. And
straight up.
No, I would love that. I would love to see my Saab on track and see what it can do. So we'll have to definitely do that. And I don't know. I'm excited for the future of what we're trying to do here with just the EOS Exhibition of Speed brand in general for all you people, both for us and for it, because
and for the 6 people that give a shit.
We're going through what I would say is like a second growth phase. We've done our initial shit with the Audi video, with those larger
everything
videos.
pre-Audi too. That was what are we doing?
Yeah, I would say this is the third time. So we had What Are We Doing, which was 2018 through 2021,
through 2020.
Yeah, and then we did the video and launched it 2021 with the Audi film. Then we saw success and we're like, oh shit, let's try this. And we found a little bit more of our individual voices as well as how we both function when it comes to doing things on sets, on video. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And how to actually create video. And now we're looking at what's the next stage. And so we're looking down the pipeline of
how do we actually grow?
Yes, exactly. How do we actually gain some more momentum than we do? Because we have gained some momentum. If you look at it, our subscribers have gone up. Yeah, our average video count does go up faster than it did, but it's not amazing.
Yeah.
So hopefully...
Let's get it there.
Let's get it there. And from what we've done so far, I think I can confidently say that we'll be able to do shorter content, still maintaining most of the good quality of the larger stuff.
Well, and the quality there is going to be in the editing and also in the actual storytelling of what's actually happening on camera, and having clean cuts and having decent music that kind of fits the vibe. And while everything might be shot on GoPros, I still want to have the storytelling ability that we have in our bigger stuff.
Yeah.
And the amount of focus that takes, but just in a, a more digestible form factor.
Yeah, bite size.
Yeah.
The fun size. See, it's not small. It's just fun size.
Keep telling yourself that, Justin.
Okay.
Keep telling yourself
I'm
that.
gonna keep telling myself that till the day I die.
Uh-huh.
So I'm really excited to see what we can do with that, even though we're not able to do that on Canyon Roads yet.
Yeah, that's where we kind of started this conversation from, huh?
Because who the fuck knows? We don't know when they're going to open. We don't know when we'll be able to regularly
When
go
that
out.
day happens, though, it's going to be such a sweet fucking relief if I can't believe we're back here.
Finally, even though that day might be in June at this point.
It might be.
It's pretty wild. No, I'm also excited to have some new experiences, not just new experiences from the video perspective, but from the driving perspective, because even though I've driven all the NSXs now and things like that, I still don't have much experience with most Japanese cars.
Yeah.
I'm still fairly locked into what I like, as we all are. We're all humans. We have tastes, but to feel a bit more of those and to kind of experience why somebody would get something. That's usually what I'm thinking when I'm behind the wheel is like, what drove the person that bought this to own this over any alternate option?
Sure.
And sometimes that's a difficult thing. On a Miata, that's a very obvious reason. It's a cheap, good, reliable Japanese sports car.
Yeah.
Point blank, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But with something like my Saab, that's a weird one. What drove somebody to pay more than like mid-level 3 Series money for this?
Right.
Which is a question I still haven't been able to truly ascertain with my Saab, because as we've mentioned before, my Saab cost the equivalent of like somewhere in between $75,000 and $85,000 adjusted for inflation.
Right.
Like big money for what it is. And so trying to get into
I mean, you also can't compare, what your Saab is to cars that are currently being sold.
Yep.
Or the, a value of dollar to driving experience level, because cars, as we all know, they've all changed and they've grown in size and they've grown in power, and while doing that, they've also become more comfortable and more dailyable.
Yeah.
I mean, what you really have to do with that kind of car is compare it to an E30, compare it to maybe an E28. If you're talking BMWs, to compare it to a 190, not the Cosworth, but a 190E. I mean, what other executive sporty cars were really out there at the time, and compare it against those?
So those would be one. I guess in theory, you could...
Or Audis from that era, too.
Yeah. Here's a funny thing, though. So I looked up what an E30 M3, I believe. Let me make sure this is an
And that's not what I was talking about either, though.
Oh, you were talking about just like an
a 325 IS or something.
Gotcha. So here was the crazy thing. An E30 M3, at least from what I just looked up, because I was just curious on like the highest end E30 you could go, how much that
for
cost.
Now or then?
For back then, like how much it was new, MSRP. Yeah. It was around $30,000 to $35,000. So my Saab was actually more expensive than an E30 M3 new.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
Oh, I agree. That's why that question is still in my head, is who paid that much for my SPG?
Granted, E30 M3s were also not 6 cylinders.
True.
So, I mean, for the executive daily driver kind of thing, like, the person that was buying an E30 M3 back in the day was the one that actually wanted to feel like a fighter pilot or a race car driver, because that was the car that took on the 190E Cosworth in DTM and kept killing it.
Yeah.
So, and also better front engine, rear wheel drive dynamics and that stuff. It's understandable why you'd pick an E30 M3 over a 900 turbo.
Yeah, it's still pretty wild. Yeah.
I mean, here's the answer to your question, though. It's the person that is that purely wants to be different for different sake. The Saab 900 Turbo is for the contrarian.
Mm-hmm.
Always has been. Someone who wants to stand out and look like they have taste. Not just look like they have taste, but someone who might actually have taste. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld had one.
Yeah.
He had Saabs before Porsches, or maybe simultaneously. I can't remember his actual timeline, but That's his timeline, not mine.
I mean, even Magnus Walker in the one piece of content he's done with it mentioned like this is a baller car, and there was also the one like podcast episode you shared with me that I think wasn't it Farah that was talking about balling on a budget cars, like you bought this to look like you were actually.
I don't know.
I can't remember. There was a podcast episode where there was two guys discussing it, and they had determined that like, oh yeah, like a Saab 900 Turbo, you are balling on a budget today because you can get them for cheap, but you look just as to a passerby as good as like an M3 of the era.
Sure.
No, looking at it, the other metric I looked at is E28 M5 launched at about 50 grand. So like my car was only about $5,000 shy of an E28.
You should have bought the E28.
Oh yeah,
to be clear,
mm-hmm.
to be fair.
I don't even think I would have, as I've mentioned before. I don't think I would have paid what my Saab was new, because it's just not the winner in any of those categories.
Mm-hmm.
But I am excited to see what it does. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and
I saw you pulled up a 2011 Lancer Evo.
Oh yeah, this was funny. So this is on Cars and Bids right now. It's a 2011 one owner manual Evo.
Yeah, Evo 10.
Mm-hmm. And I believe it's not that high of miles. Let me make sure. 90,000 miles. So like, not bad.
Okay.
Not crazy. But what I think is interesting is how cheap this thing is currently going for. It's only at $6,000 with under 2 days left.
It says 15 grand.
Oh, so somebody finally threw a good bid in.
Yeah.
Well, it was cheaper. That was the reason I initially pulled it up, is that it was going for cheaper. And the great thing about this is that it is not in perfect cosmetic condition. This would be a fantastic car to buy, and from the list I read, it's pretty mechanically straight.
Have you driven any of these?
I haven't driven an Evo.
Okay. Of any gen?
Of any gen.
Yeah, I haven't driven an 8 or 9. I drove a 10 back when I was really fucking bad at driving stick.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, when we had the 2010 R35 GTR,
mm-hmm.
the 2014 press car R35 GTR, and then we drove a press car Evo that was a stick, and that was one of my first moments of going like, because I was driving this Evo 10,
mm-hmm.
and I was on the ass of a dude who owns a 2010 at the time, owned a 2010 R35 GTR, but he was driving the press car. This was driving through the 33 by Ojai, and I was on the ass of this dude, and that was one of the first moments of driver over car moment of like, wow, I shouldn't be on the ass of this guy. But the whole premise of that video, this is for everyday driver that we did this. R35 GTRs at that point were just crossing over 100 grand.
Yeah.
And the Evo, you could get brand new for just over 30. Is the R35 actually 3 times the car? Which I don't necessarily think it is. But also, when you step inside an Evo, holy shit, is it fucking basic.
Yes. I mean, looking at like this picture alone, it is.
It's sparse, and that infotainment on there is added on. That is not original. The one in this
particular list,
Cars and Bids thing. And then I drove one through Wolf Creek. That was a dual clutch, and it was lowered, and I kept rubbing on a bunch of fucking corners, and it was really infuriating because I couldn't like actually drive the car how I wanted to.
Yeah. Even
though we were moving at a pretty good clip still. And then I drove one with our buddy Jordan and his buddy that has a stock Evo 10. Like, those are rare now.
Yeah.
The only modification was kind of like what this car has on the listing with a infotainment on it. But that was it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why looking at this, I'm like, this would be a decent car for somebody to get it's gotten more expensive now pretty quickly. But, like, one owner, basically stock, just regularly driven one of these, would be a pretty good ground to build a solid car off of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and you can take it in a couple of different directions. I mean, I know people personally that have done, show car builds where they throw it on bags and it's wrapped and has crazy wheels on it.
Yeah.
They make an Instagram following about it. And there are other people that do tires, brakes, wheels maybe, and some go fast parts on it, and they take them racing.
Yeah.
And these drive really well. They actually drive better than the STI. I would rather own an STI.
Yeah.
because it's just a nicer place to be. I also have owned Subarus before. It just feels more like home.
Yeah.
But it's also, the Subarus are nicer places to be. But these do drive better.
Yeah, and I think the Subarus, from a more daily perspective, would have a better reliability chance.
Depends. If you get a dual clutch Evo, definitely.
Yeah.
Because those were not great. Like, they would overheat on, like, canyon drives. Like, the transmission itself would overheat and it would throw coats. Especially, like, the early, the press cars. Like, they weren't blowing transmissions, but they were boiling over on track.
Gotcha.
So, I would definitely, if we're talking auto to manual, like, definitely the Subaru.
Yeah.
Manual to manual, I would still probably choose. No, manual to manual. It depends. I also don't believe in buying something that is based on an economy or an economical, microcar.
Yeah.
Not microcar, but economy car chassis. I don't believe in buying one of those to be a fun car. Even if, like, the Evo is fast or the STI is fast, I don't think that should be the fun car.
Yeah.
I feel like the fun car, for me, should be something that was built from the ground up, from the actual chassis level, to be fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think so. I mean, you can say that, especially. You own one. You own a Fiesta ST. It was an economy car.
Yeah, and that's my daily driver. I don't feel like, if I, like, did really well with, like, work and business and stuff, maybe I would keep the Fiesta to, like, keep me grounded, but I would keep that as a daily. I wouldn't build that out to be a track car. I would go buy a Porsche.
Yeah. You'd buy something that was meant for that.
Or if I wanted to save money, like, get a used Miata or get an S2000 or get something else that was like, this is what this is for. I don't feel like, or I don't believe in buying a car and then trying to change it into something it fundamentally is not. That's just me, though.
No, I did remember what I wanted to talk about, though, because it was something you sent me. Sorry about the microphone bump. It was the Saab thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, to catch everybody up, Saab officially died in 2011. What happened is, in 2010, GM sold them to Spyker. Spyker declared insolvency when it came to Saab.
Yeah.
The name Saab, the rights to that were relinquished back to the jet company, because that's what had happened, is they were basically leasing the rights to use the name for the cars. And the assets were sold off, most of which were bought back up and created a local company called National Electric Vehicles of Sweden. Very catchy name. Not really.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And they had a lot of the original Saab engineers and even some people they poached from Volvo for the past decade, trying desperately to create, like, new things for the brand, mainly electric cars.
Yeah.
And they have yet again shuttered doors due to financial issues because they were never able to get off the ground. But they did reveal more specifics on their most finished product, of which they have 6 functional prototypes.
Which is funny. You say it's new, but I'm looking at the roof line, and that looks an awful whole lot like the end of Run 9.5.
I think it is. I think probably a bunch of this is what they could borrow from the chassis from GM that was based off without, like, actually creating legal issues.
Right.
So what I thought was crazy about it was primarily that the car might never see the light of day, but the design, being it was redesigned up to from the ground up to be an electric vehicle, was pretty cool. 600 miles of range, a fairly large battery. Each individual wheel has a motor instead of having 2 motors with a diff like Teslas do,
right.
And lots of other features that. I mean, a 600-mile range on an EV is still pretty much unheard of for an actual functional, like, dailyable car.
The Lucids are cracking over 500.
Yep. So 600, being that they're presenting these figures as, hey, we do have these functional prototypes that do function.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks that they're in a position now where they might not continue again because they got fairly close this time.
That's a stupid seat. What the fuck is that?
It's a little weird. They definitely, I mean...
Also, yeah, so we're looking at some seats that are inside this...
Emily GT is what they called it.
Whatever that is. Clearly those are iPads.
Yep.
That are just tacked onto the back. But, like, the upper quarter of the seat has this cavity exactly where, like, the middle of your upper back, like, rests. That doesn't actually look that comfortable, but it looks futuristic, so people are, might be interested in it.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens yet again. This will be the 4th time that the Saab, or Nevs in this case, has gone kaput.
Yeah.
It has been the consistent punching bag for about 3 decades now.
It's about 3 decades.
Yeah. Well, because they did when GM bought out half the company in 1990, it was because they were approaching insolvency.
Oh, gotcha.
Then it happened.
But they stuck around for another decade.
Mm-hmm. And then they bought the rest of the company when it was starting to approach insolvency again in 2000.
Yeah.
Then they sold it in 2010. Then it declared bankruptcy in 11.
Yeah.
It's been a constant story. And so looking at these...
It's this and the Elio, really.
Yeah. Looking at these, I mean, God knows what'll happen now. Volvo did express interest in potentially buying the shit and still running it, but
That'd be cool.
I don't know. It's weird to look at this auto manufacturer and look at what they did with 6 fully functional prototypes and be like, man, that would be cool to have something like that in the EV space, because most of the EVs in the EV space are kind of boring.
I mean... yeah. Is the Lucid boring?
Well, it's not. So
they're also struggling right now. I mean, and Rivian is also struggling.
Yeah.
Volkswagen has the ID4.
Mm-hmm.
Kia has options.
Yep.
Hyundai Ioniq 5, I still quite like that.
I like the Ioniq 5 and the EV6. I think they're both different enough to be interesting, but they're not like i3 levels of, hey, we're going to make you really know that this is not a normal car.
Right.
So I think they've done it well. A lot of the other options are questionable. Mainly a lot of the cars that are converted to be EVs are that's kind of boring and dumb.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm hoping that something comes out of this and that somebody is able to utilize this, because again,
that'd be neat.
600-mile range in a fairly normal 4-door, what looks like the traditional slope liftback design.
I mean, that looks like they completely took the same tooling from the 9.5 Aero that came out in 2010.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks like they might even be platform sharing, and I would question actually how much of this car is actually new.
Yeah, I would as well, but RIP again. We'll see. Saab at this point is a cat that literally has 9 lives.
Yeah.
It will continue to come back somehow and haunt those of us that loved the brand for what
hey,
it was.
remember us? Yeah, go make something.
I know. And it sucks because you could tell tons of people probably put in passion, but passion's not enough at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, true.
So,
well, I mean, the Italians been selling on passion for decades, but yeah.
They distill it. They distill passion into their cars, according to certain people.
Yes.
So,
well, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you on the other side by the next episode that comes out. Oh, wait. Yeah, so we're going to have podcasts drop on Mondays, and we'll have videos dropping on Sundays.
Yes, because we found out most of you, based on our analytics, are millennials. So you're up at around noon on a Sunday.
Okay, boomer.
I know.
Which is funny because I don't get any notifications really from videos from other content creators dropping on Sundays.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder. And that's just of our subscribers. I mean, we have 3,000 subscribers, but we hope to get more than 3,000 people watching videos.
Yeah.
Granted, if we also got 3,000 people watching videos every week that isn't the Audi video,
that'd be a huge bump.
That'd be a nice bump. So, yeah. For the last time, this is going to be our new regimen because we've bounced back and forth a bunch. But Sundays, starting in May, 12 o'clock, be there or be square. We're going to have videos dropping. We should still honestly start promoting merch because guess what? We haven't fucking sold anything.
Yeah.
So go get our merch. I'm looking at a pile right now.
Yep.
I'm going to actually take a picture at the end of this, a very angry picture for our Instagram and be like, buy our fucking merch.
Please, now, do it.
Give me money. Make me not regret doing this. Anyways, or make you not regret doing this. Buy our shit. I have watch articles coming out. Actually, we didn't even talk about what's on my wrist. And I actually have some shit that's in a little
bag.
Little travel carrying case brought to me by the Horological Society of Utah. This is actually a really nice case.
That looks like it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth $100 a year.
Hey, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. anyways, yeah, I'm currently wearing a Tudor Black Bay 58 in blue. I have another Omega Seamaster Professional, the No Time to Die version, James Bond Special Edition that's in here, and also a crazy one-handed watch, not given, but lent to me by my father.
It's a pretty sweet watch.
It's cool, yeah, one-hander to tell the time. So look for those reviews coming to our website shortly. I need to actually put the review for this Black Bay out because, God, I want this so bad. And actually, I wanted to. One of my favorite things about this is something that the viewers or the listeners can actually enjoy while not having a visual. It's actually an auditory thing.
Okay.
And it's the sound of the bezel going around because this is the most satisfying bezel I've felt in like basically any watch ever.
Okay.
And it lines up exactly at 12 o'clock. So stay tuned for more of the Tudor Black Bay 58 coming in the coming weeks to the Exhibition of Speed website. I'm starting to run out of things to say, and I think that means it's time to go. Yes, Words is tough. Okay, see you later. Bye.